Hey, what's going on, guys? Brandon here with Texas Plinking, and I have to start off this video by saying I am in a really weird position, all right? Because I got a video on a Sig P211 GTO, just like all the other YouTubers do, I know. And genuinely, it is a gun that I am excited to make content on ever since I first heard it. But right now, the timing is quite interesting because as it turns out, the low-hanging fruit right now is actually to bash Sig for the P320 fiasco. The short of it is the P320 has been under fire since its inception, not being drop safe, and then Sig said, yeah, okay, but we fixed it, and then people said, no, you actually didn't. Well, it seems to have only gotten far worse more in recent times. The waters are just way too muddy by this point. Like, too much has happened, and I kind of think it's by fault of many people. It could be including Sig as well, but the reason I'm in a tough spot is because I could really only go off personal case scenario. As it turns out, I have 4 P320s. I have an M17, M18, some basic police P320, of which those 3 I've owned for a very long time. The basic one I bought just to stress test it on YouTube, of which I've already made plenty of videos doing that. And with those 3, I've had 0 issues. I tried to replicate the issues. By the way, the 4th one is some Gucci one. It's some agency syndicate that a friend gave me. So those are the 4 I have. One a friend gave me, the other 3 I bought myself. I've had them for a while. And me personally, I haven't had an issue, and I can't replicate the issue. That doesn't mean I'm just making everyone else claim illegitimate. I think there's plenty of legitimacy without me experiencing that. And if those are all true, Sig's response is less than ideal. I get that. And now I think it's just so far gone that the P320 for years has been going through this scrutiny, of which many of it could be very much so justified. I get it. I've seen, body cam footage of guns going off when they shouldn't have in the hands of law enforcement. Not a good look. A problem is one thing, a lack of a decent response to the problem is a whole different thing. I totally get it. But I think right now, like I was saying, the point is so far gone that the P320 has been under such scrutiny. Again, much of it justified, I'm sure. But now I've seen too many illegitimate cases that have been proven wrong, and now people don't have the accountability like they claim Sig doesn't have it. In a recent case, for example, and then I'll be done with this, the case with the airman who died, everyone was just screaming at the P320 or the M18. It went off in a holster. We knew it. How many more times does this have to happen? And then not long after, under investigation, it was actually a negligent discharge that could have happened with any gun. And it was falsified information. That person got put away for that falsified information and for manslaughter. Nobody talks about that as much. And so shouldn't they have the same accountability going, hey, we were wrong on this one? But the way I see it is people wanted it to be the M18's fault so badly. So now I think people are so far gone, they're just really mad and they want the M18 to keep failing, which I don't think is a good spot to be in either. What I'm saying with all that, I get all sides of it. I'm no Sig shill, I'm not being paid, I'm not doing any of that. But the thing is though, by me making a video with the Sig product, people are going to be upset in the comment section. Can't do anything about that. But that doesn't change the fact that someone out there is going to be wanting to see a video on a Sig product. The P211 GTO, for example, they're going to be wanting to know how it compares to a Staccato XC. And so if I just straight up boycott them because it's the easy thing to do for YouTube, even though I personally haven't experienced some of these issues, I don't think I'd be too proud of myself for doing that. So I thought I'd put it out there. You guys are adults. You guys are able to make your own assumptions and opinions. No influencer like me or otherwise are going to try to steer you guys how to think, or at least I know I won't. So I'd rather just kind of showcase the guns as they're meant to be showcased. I want to have fun with them. I've been told, don't showcase Smith & Wesson because of XYZ. Don't showcase Springfield Armory because of XYZ. I can't showcase IWI or even Bull Armory without, someone saying Free Palestine. There's just always a reason not to showcase a gun over the other. And I'd rather just throw that all away. If I'm going to be met with, flaming pitchforks in the comment section, so be it. I'm kind of used to it by this point. All right, that all out of the way. The Sig P211 GTO. Damn, let one go there. The 211 is Sig's take on a 2011 double stack 9mm hammer fire, metal frame, all that good stuff. This one takes P320 mags. How convenient. If you want to totally throw away your P320, at least you could use the mags. Funny enough, it also seems to fit in P320 holsters as well. I've tested one at home and it worked. It comes with one 23 round mag and two 21 round mags. Straight trigger pulls at 3.5 to 4 pounds, rated by Sig. I'm seeing some independent testers getting quite a bit lighter than that. It's fully ambidextrous and has a 4.4 inch bull barrel with the what they call Mach 30 compensator on the top of it as well. They say it reduces the muzzle rise by 30%. Interesting part of it as well, you got a little Allen key on the side. This is not fixed like island like the XC or something like that. But the reason they did that is so you can actually remove it and just use a sight block for certain, pistol competitions, because otherwise it wouldn't be legal in certain competitions with this. Kind of a foreign world to me, but anyway, that's the reasoning on why they didn't make it a one piece. So you can have that option. We also have a flared mag well, very, very large. That's standard on all the 211s. Got a fiber optic front sight, blacked out rear sight. And then this is cut for, if I'm not mistaken, a Leupold Delta Point Pro. You could either get it without an optic. If you get it with an optic, this is a Sig Romeo X. I have some opinions on that optic as well. I'll dive into when we start shooting it. But otherwise, speaking about the Romeo X in particular here, it's a very, very low optic. Benefit to that is you don't have to have really, really tall sights to have it co-witness. These aren't, hilariously tall sights, and I'm able to co-witness it plenty fine. No problem. I'll try to get some pictures so you guys can see what I'm seeing there as well. Got a Picatinny rail down here, full dust cover, 3 slots there. Got a Surefire X300 thrown on there for now. The pistol also has 2 recoil springs that we could more fine tune it for a particular loading if you're shooting some really, really soft stuff or whatever. I don't know which spring is in it now. I never replaced it, but it's been running everything very, very nicely. But yeah, the recoil spring, if anything, maybe this is the lighter one because it feels quite light. Staccato XC is hilariously light and smooth, to where it almost feels like ball bearing slickness. This one's a little bit more mechanical, but very, very lightweight. I wonder what that spring really is. So if anything, the other spring it comes with has to be heavier, because that is very, very light and feels very, very good. But for $2,400, you have to put it in perspective. That is very, very expensive for most guns, polymer frame, stuff like that. But man, the 2011 game gets very, very expensive, unfortunately. So the big question is, how does this compare to some other ones? So I brought 2 other ones. One of them being my favorite pistol I own, and that is the Staccato XC. I've said it so many times, if you guys are new around here, this is my favorite pistol in the segment of just being a recreational, confidence-inspiring pistol. And there's no shilling here, $4,300, and I bought it for all of $4,300 back in, I think it was around 2020, 21, something like that. Since then, I thought it would be dethroned as my favorite, and it just hasn't been. So I'm very curious to see how the 211 compares to it, in the sense that they both have those, like, affixed front compensators. This one's a one piece, so there's no replacing it, but the balance of this thing's just been unmatched. But again, $4,300, so now this looks like pretty decent value. Some people out there will tell you that this at $4,300 is unbelievable value because there's guns out there like Atlas, and it just keeps going. For me, $4,300 back then and now, that's a lot of money. It's my most expensive pistol I have, period. Minus the Lago Arms Alien, which I bought pre-owned and doesn't run nearly as nice as the XC. So we have an XC to compare, but also I thought I would bring out the new HD from Staccato. This is the P4.5, so it's got that sight block on there as well. Similar, no compensator, but a sight block nonetheless. And this one takes Glock mags, whereas the XC takes 2011 mags, and the P211 takes P320 mags. All right, so make sure I don't get all my mags all crossed up. We got all kinds of mags to get through. So why don't we go ahead and just start off with the P211. No excuses to it. I've been sick for a little over a week and a half now and feeling shaky and weak, just out of my element, but that's okay. Hopefully we can snap it together here. Start off, get some confidence on a larger silhouette here. Oh yeah. All right, let's get these little guys here. Try to double tap him as he's falling. All right, back to the silhouette. Go for the rack. I got a little too confident. Thought the gun was just gonna aim and shoot itself. It is a Sig, haha. All right, there's one mag. I think that was the 21 rounder. Nope, it was a 23 rounder. Here's a 21 rounder. So real quickly, go ahead and cycle it, put on safe here. The optic hasn't failed me, which is the most important thing. Optic glows nice and bright. It's actually super, super clear, the dot to my head. Whenever someone says something like that about an optic, take it with a grain of salt, because everyone has a different eye stigmatism, if you have one at all. I have perfect vision, never thought I had astigmatism, but sure enough, there are some optics that look like a weird glow to me. This one doesn't. This is one of the cleaner dots out there. That's just my particular case. What I will say though, is the window is a little small. Sometimes that's okay, but the window is just small. My field of view is not that great, but as it turns out, this gun just doesn't kick all that much anyway, so you're okay. Just because the dot stays still, just because the recoil. but pretty small window, and the glass, a very blue hue to it, as it turns out. Whether that bothers you or not, up to you. Doesn't totally bother me at all, but the window is small. I will say this gun is flat enough to where you kind of get lazy. I saw the dot the entire time, but I just knew it was staying still, and so I just upped the pace a little. Oh, damn it. Let's try to get a couple more shots as it falls. Well, last two there. Yeah, feels very, very nice. Recoil, stupid low, as you would expect. Very easy control. The trigger, if I do say so myself, is very good. I think I want it just slightly cleaner, and that was my initial impressions, first mag through it. And I will say maybe the trigger's breaking in because it does seem to be getting slightly cleaner. But you go here, it's not as linear as something like the XC. You go here, 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 and then it moves a little to the wall. Then it's really clean, and then the reset is very light and very clean. Fall. There we go. We'll circle back to this, but let's get the Staccato XC out, see how it compares. Already about nearly half the pull weight on the trigger, so that's something to get used to. All right. Oh. Well, I said I'll call things as they happen. This optic has just went poo-poo. I thought it was a dead battery. I've replaced it twice now. Liverpool Delta Point Pro. I like them a lot. I like the window. It's a larger window. The color is great, but it just goes off every now and then. I've had this optic for quite a while actually, but still, this shouldn't be on its end of its life. All right, let's keep it shooting until it goes bad. And it's dead. This is a new mag to me. Checkmate. They make 2011 mags, so see how this one runs. All right, and the optic's off again. Let's go ahead and just use irons. And it's back. And it's off again. Alright, well, alright, try to just get impressions on P211 versus XC, and this optic's just being buggy. I'm just going to turn it off and just forget about it entirely. Liverpool Delta Point Pro, man. I've actually liked these a lot up until this has been happening. Well, other than that, XC, absolutely love it. I do know it quite a bit better than the P211 because I've had it since I think it was 2021. Way more rounds through it as well, and a lot of reason like the XC. I think something about the XC, if I had to pick one, you guys are probably wondering which one's flatter. The XC is a wee bit flatter, I will say, but it's way closer than I thought for the price point or whatever you want to say. But it is a little flatter, but I also think, maybe I'm wrong, I have to look at slow motion. I think the action with that 211 happens a little faster. I think if you shoot one faster, it's probably the P211, but this one might stay a little flatter. I don't know, something about how it's tuned. But maybe I'll have to go back and forth between the two a little bit faster, and we'll just go ahead and keep the optic off on that. That is very annoying, but whatever. I'll get it resolved one way or another. All right, moving on over to the HD P4.5 from Staccato, taking Glock mags. Got a little sight block on there, supposedly keeps the recoil nice and low. I love this gun. I don't know how many rounds I have through it, probably close to, if not a little more than 1,500 rounds. Never cleaned this thing. And this has been running awesome. Let's go straight from that to the 211 though. Heavier trigger by a little bit. And this is really nitpicking, not as clean of a trigger, but hopefully that breaks in a little. But very, very flat. I think a lot of it just takes some training to it too, because I'm still fairly new with this gun. And as great as that optic is for its merit of sitting low and everything, I just want a bigger optic window. Maybe because I'm not that good of a shooter. I don't know. Oh, yoinked the last one. Oh, I don't want to overly complain about that because the trigger's not bad, but I'm just spoiled by the other ones. That little falsified wall or whatever is tripping me up just a little bit. But other than that, the recoil itself is very, very flat. It feels really, really good. All right, I know when to stop. Felt hot there. All right, yeah, it's just a little bit of a practice thing. Pistols in general are very perishable skill, and I haven't shot them in a while. I've just been bedridden and going a little stir crazy, so glad to be able to come out here, finally make a video with the P211. But yeah, like as the rounds went through it, and as more mags went through the gun, I got a little bit better with it for sure, just because, again, perishable skill. But it takes a little bit to learn here. The trigger I need to learn a little bit. Not a bad trigger, better than any striker fire trigger out there. I'm just spoiled by the XC's trigger. Got another about, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 pounds on top of that, and just not quite as clean, that's all. And then the optic itself, well, can't complain about the optic in the sense that it turns on when it's supposed to and doesn't keep turning off like the Leupold right now. Anyway, a little sour about that, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, just a little bit of a different window to get used to. The blue hue to it, not really bothering me if I'm being honest with you. That's just the Romeo X though. As far as the P211, you can run other optics if you so wish. As the pistol itself is going, I've had no issues with it. I think on a couple occasions early on with my first outing with it, I think I had it twice not lock back. And after looking at videos of like a little POV thing on my head, I might have been riding the slide release, and so I kind of adjusted from that. Other than that, really haven't had an issue, haven't cleaned it either in probably close to, or if not just to tick over 1,000 rounds with it. So worth noting there for sure. Anyways, unfortunately, what might be a controversial gun, or maybe not a controversial gun, but a gun under a controversial company right now. So very, very odd timing. I hate to admit that I do in fact very much so like it, but again, no shilling here. If you don't want it, then don't buy it. It's not a must-have by any means. But I will say, given the price point at the $2,400-ish MSRP, hopefully there's a street price that represents even a lower price point to that. I think it's got quite a lot of merit to it. Not ashamed to say that, even in this day and age. So yeah, P211 GTO, I quite like it. I can't wait to know it a little bit more. Maybe I'll experiment with a different optic, but I don't know. Or I'll just learn this one better. But that does it. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys next time. Take care.